Yes, good morning. Welcome back to the channel. Hope each and every single one of you are doing well. Before we get into today's Tottenham update, we're going to be speaking about Celso, we're going to be speaking about Nusa, and we are going to be speaking about the Brighton game. But if you do want to cop, if you can't see what Andrew's doing, as you can see right here, it is available on henrywrighttv.com. That is henrywrighttv.com. And you can cop the jump for as little as £26, which is literally the cheapest I could get it. Also, make sure you go over and follow Henry Wright TV Korea. We're posting a lot more content around South Korea, Son, and the boys. But today's Tottenham update, we're going to start off. There's a report come out from Spurs Team Talk or Tottenham Team Talk. I did see Chris Cowlin speaking about it yesterday, and it says, and I quote, Tottenham midfielder preparing to say goodbye as link up with two former teammates edges closer. And this is coming out from Rob McCarthy. It says Tottenham could be on the brink of losing midfielder as reports suggest that Giovanni Lo Celso is close to joining two former teammates in. Now, it's important to note here that the Turkey January transfer window runs from the 11th of January to February the 9th, which means it would be closing tomorrow. Now, first of all, I will be absolutely amazed if he joins Galatasaray for the remainder of the season, potentially on loan or on a permanent transfer. Now, Galatasaray have already signed Davinson Sanchez of us, and Tanguy Ndombele is currently on loan there for the remainder of the season. It then goes on to say the Turkish window does not shut until Friday, tomorrow, leaving plenty of Premier League clubs fretting over potentially losing first-team stars without the opportunity to replace them. And it appears that Lo Celso could well be on his way to join Davinson Sanchez and Tanguy Ndombele at Galatasaray. Now, at first, I'm not going to lie to you guys, I gave Ndombele, I think it was the right move for him to join Galatasaray on loan because, look, the guy's just a complete and utter waste of space at Tottenham. In terms of Davinson Sanchez, you know, the club showed no mercy when it comes to getting rid of centre-backs. The likes of Dyer's gone, the likes of Davinson Sanchez has gone, the likes of Joe Rodon has gone on loan. In terms of Giovanni Lo Celso, he's another one who divides opinion in the Tottenham fan base because there is no doubt he has got ability, right? There is no doubt that Giovanni Lo Celso has got ability, but he doesn't contribute enough for me. And I know it's a squad game, right? But he always seems to be injured. He's never available for first team duties. And you've got the likes of Sarr, you've got the likes of Højbjerg, you've got the likes of Bentancur, you've got the likes of Bissouma. I think it would be worth keeping him for the remainder of the season because you never know when players are going to get injured or players aren't going to be available. But that being said, if a bid comes in the summer for Giovanni Lo Celso, I think we need to cash in. You know, the guy is got a year left in his contract in the summer. You know, he's 27 years of age. He's 28 in April. There's a lot of reports reporting that he will be leaving in the summer. But when you look at his numbers, he's got 10 appearances, 2 goals, 2 assists. He scored against Villa and he scored against Manchester City. So he's turned up in some of the bigger games. But he's only played 10 appearances. You know, he can play on the right side. We know he can play central midfield. He's played, you know, attacking midfield. He'll have a year left on his contract in the summer. So he's got just under 18 months left. He's valued at around 16 million euros. If a bid comes in the summer, I generally think we need to cash in. We need to cash in my opinion. And I also think we need to cash in Højbjerg and bring in like a more of a box-to-box number 8. There's a lot of reports about Conor Gallagher. He scored last night. Chelsea are through to the next round of the FA Cup. In terms of the midfield, you know, I still think we need an anchor in the number 6. We've got Maddison who looks the 10 out. We've got players who can play the 8 in Sarr, Bissouma and Bentancur. But I do think we need an anchor in the number 6 role. Now, in terms of the remainder of this Tottenham update, there's a few reports coming out that Tottenham still wants Antonio Nusa. Now, the Spurs web put out a report yesterday, and big up to the Spurs web, always giving us the latest and greatest news. Now, they put out yesterday saying, report, Spurs could battle Newcastle for young attacker in the summer. And it says, Height Newsblade have claimed that Tottenham Hotspur could battle Newcastle for Antonio Nusa's signature next summer if Brentford completely pull out of the race. Now, he, of course, was heavily linked with Tottenham, heavily linked with Brentford, but the deal didn't materialise due to knee and back injuries. It then goes on to say Nusa's move for Brentford collapsed in the final days of the January transfer window after some knee and back issues were reportedly discovered during the winger's medical at the G-Tech Community Stadium. That was coming out from Ben Jacobs, who's a very, very good journalist. And it says a couple of days ago, Football Insider claimed that despite the setback, the player has made up his mind on the move to the Premier League and is expected to do so at the end of the season. And obviously, there's Tottenham and Newcastle. It then goes on to say Tottenham and Newcastle circling Het Newsboard has explained that Brentford have not completely abandoned their case of Nusa, just despite their attacker failing the medical. It has been said that the Bees are still in conversation with Club Brugge over a potential summer deal, with the two clubs trying to hammer out an agreement on a transfer fee. The reports state that Thomas Frank's men decide to pull out from the race. It would open the door for other Premier League sides. The Spurs of opinion, they've said, one would assume that Bruges would be open to accepting the lower transfer fee of Nusa after his medical complications were discovered. There are too many permutations in this situation to confidently predict whether Tottenham would reignite their interest in the winger next summer. The outlet says Tottenham are still candidates to snap up Norway international, while Newcastle are keeping an eye on the player's situation. Now, this is another one where the fan base went absolutely insane. He looks a real talent, and we've also brought through Lucas Bergvall, who is another big talent coming out of Sweden. In terms of Tottenham, though, in terms of what does this mean for the summer? We're being linked to the likes of Rafinha. We're being linked to the likes of Pedro Neto. I've seen a few links linking us to the likes of Elise. Then you've got Jota in Saudi. There seems to be links for forwards, which gives me. I'm kind of sitting there on kind of both sides of the argument, because I like Antonio Nusa. I've watched a few clips of this guy, but he is nowhere near level to be. He's nowhere near at the level to be a Premier League winger week in, week out. He's 18 years of age. He will be 19 on the 17th of April. You know, he causes fullbacks chaos. That's what all the reports say. He loves running at his fullback, which is absolutely fantastic. And that's what I want in a winger. He's valued at 17 million euros. He is predominantly a left wing player. Now, in terms of the Champions League, he's played 4 games, got 1 appearance, 3 games in the Conference League, got one goal. So 1 goal in the Champions League, 1 goal in the Conference League. In terms of his the Pro League out in Belgium, he's got 7 goal contributions in 38 games. I don't think he is going to be ready to be starting in a Premier League team week in, week out. I don't think he's ready. And we're looking at players more predominantly on the right. So if we were hypothetically to sign, Timo Werner, and you've got Son, you've got 2 very good options there that can play the left wing position. Then in terms of the striker, you've got the likes of Richarlison, plus Son can play there. On the right-hand side is where this causes a lot of friction in the fan base, and it causes a lot of debate, because you never know out of the 2 who's going to be playing on that right-hand side. It's purely based on who is in the better form. Kulusevski 1 minute looks absolutely brilliant, scoring last-minute headers at the Etihad to get us back into the game, and really is a talented player, but he's very inconsistent. And you've got the likes of our £47.5 million winger in Brennan Johnson, who is dividing the fan base a lot. Lots of people are giving him stick, and I get it. He's not performing. And then the other side are saying, well, look, hang on. Richarlison's performing now. He didn't perform in his first season, so let's give him some slack. I am very much on the fence with Kulusevski, but I personally feel that Brennan Johnson at this moment in time is not at the level. And I don't think that's being harsh. I don't think that's being, critical. I just think he is just not at the level we need to be at. We've got aspirations of getting into the Champions League, and as it stands right now, it's very, very, very different. It's very, very different. Where does this lead Tottenham in the summer transfer window? Well, every link you see, whether it's on social media, whether it's on Google, everyone is linking us to forwards, whether it's Santiago Jimenez, Rafinha, Pedro Neto, Antonio Nusa, Jonathan Rowe, Jonathan David. We are being linked to forwards galore. In terms of Tottenham, though, I just want us to get this whoever we spend the big, big money on in the summer, it has got to be the right signing, because in the last 4 to 5 years, we've got the forwards very wrong. You think back to Fernando Llorente, was not at the level, scored a few goals here or there, but wasn't at the level. Carlos Vinicius, Dan Juma, even cast your mind before that, Victor Janssen. We're not notorious for bringing in great strikers. We got obviously very, very fortunate having Harry Kane come out of the academy. But as it stands right now, I don't think that we're, in terms of our front three, it's very, now that Son's back, it's going to be completely different going into that Brighton game. But I don't feel that if you're a defender on the left back position and you're coming up against Brennan Johnson or Kulusevski, I think you have a lot easier job than coming up against Son or Timo Werner. What we need to do is get that killer back in us. When we had the likes of Harry Kane, Eriksen, Dele Alli, Son, Kane, we were absolute killers in front of goal. And then you could say, Henry, you're being ridiculous. And look, I understand we've scored the third most amount of goals in the league. We've scored 49. Only Man City and Liverpool have scored more goals than us. But that's more based on, I think, the system rather than personnel. We create a lot of goal scoring opportunities every single game. Now, speaking of goal scoring opportunities, we have got Brighton up this Saturday. Going to be a very end-to-end game, right? It's going to be left, right, a ping-pong game. Brighton score a lot of goals. Tottenham score a lot of goals. Brighton don't keep clean sheets. Tottenham don't keep clean sheets. But you never know which Brighton team's going to turn up. Like I said in yesterday's video, it could be the Brighton team that puts 4 goals past Stoke, 5 goals past Sheffield United, and 4 goals against Palace. But it also could be the Brighton team that turns up and loses 4-0 to Luton. Now, of course, Brighton beat us on the 28th of December, 4 goals to 2, in a game where Tottenham didn't really turn up until the very, very end of the game, the last 15 minutes. Where do you guys think the game will be won? I think the midfield, if we are on it and we've got the likes of Bentancur, Sarr and Maddison in that midfield, and you've got the likes of Bissouma and Højbjerg on the bench, and then you look at the front three. I think Son will come back. He will want to come back and see where Tottenham are at. I think as of right now, we are, in terms of Son, he will want to come back, put the South Korea defeat behind him. And the best way of doing that is playing football and scoring goals. In terms of where Tottenham are, Aston Villa, comfortably won against Sheffield United. However, they were poor yesterday and lost 3-1 at home to Chelsea and are now out of the FA Cup, which is what we didn't want to hear, because now Aston Villa only have the Premier League and the Conference League to focus on. That is all they have. Now, they've got Manchester United on Sunday, which Manchester United are in a decent bit of form. They've beaten the likes of West Ham. They've beaten the likes of Wolves. They've beaten the likes of Wigan, Newport County. They drew with us. They're 5 games without a loss. They beat Aston Villa on the 26th of December. It was only that shocking game against Nottingham Forest. But since then, they are on a decent bit of form. What I will say is the game is at Villa Park, and normally they perform better in the Premier League at Villa Park. But we will know if we're going to be in the 4th position before Aston Villa play, because as it stands, they're 2 points above us. If Aston Villa win against Manchester United and Tottenham lose against Brighton, the gap will go to 5 points. Now, we have an absolute massive game against Aston Villa on the 9th of March. If we go to Villa Park and win, I will be extremely happy. But I can't, at this moment, predict that game. It's going to be very, very difficult. We've got 2 more games throughout the remainder of this month because the Chelsea game is postponed. But let me know your thoughts down below if you haven't already. Make sure you do smash that like button if you're new. Check out Henry Wright TV and go up and follow Tottenham Henry Wright Career. We're all doing a lot of content over there. I'll see you all soon. Thank you all for watching. I am